The sky was burning. His ship shook, alarms screaming in every direction. Fire danced over the control panels, and smoke filled the cockpit. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't steer. And then, boom, a blinding explosion. Gravity pulled him. Down he was falling. Falling fast. The pilot's name was Ryan, a human scout from Earth's outpost fleet. This was supposed to be a routine scan, but something had gone wrong, very wrong. An unknown energy blast had hit his ship, and now he was crashing into an uncharted planet. He blacked out. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on red dirt. His ship was half buried in the ground behind him, broken and sparking. One of his legs hurt badly. Blood dripped from his forehead. His communication device was dead. No signal, no help. He looked around. The sky above was green and hazy. The trees were tall and twisted, with glowing blue leaves. The air smelled like dust and something metallic. He had never seen a place like this before. This was not Earth. This was not any friendly planet. He pulled himself up and limped into the forest, searching for shelter or food. Every shadow looked dangerous. Every sound made him freeze. Snap. He stopped. Heavy footsteps. Boom, boom, boom. The ground trembled. Something big was coming. Something huge. Ryan hid behind a thick root, barely breathing. He peeked out and then his heart nearly stopped. She appeared from the trees, a giant woman, at least 4 times his height. Her skin was green and smooth, like polished stone. Her hair flowed down her back like black fire. She wore strange armor made of bone and metal, glowing slightly under the alien sun. And in her hand was a blade the size of a car. She looked around slowly. Sniffing the air, Ryan held his breath. This can't be real, he thought. I'm hallucinating. But it was real. Too real. She turned her head, and her golden eyes locked onto the spot where he was hiding. Her gaze was sharp, intelligent, curious. Then she moved. With speed far too fast for her size, she stomped toward him. Trees bent under her steps. Birds, if they were birds, screamed and flew away. Ryan tried to run, but his legs screamed in pain. He tripped and fell to the ground. A giant green foot slammed down inches from his head. He rolled over, eyes wide. The giantess stood over him now, blocking out the sky. Her face leaned in close, her glowing eyes studying him. Ryan could see his own reflection in her iris. This was it. She was going to eat him. He had heard stories, alien predators, Deathworld giants, monsters who ate humans alive. And this one looked like a goddess of death. She tilted her head. Slowly, her nostrils flared as she sniffed him. Her lips curled slightly, not in anger, not in hunger, but in amusement. He squeezed his eyes shut. "Please," he whispered. "Make it quick." Then something strange happened. She laughed. A deep, musical sound that echoed through the forest. And then, in perfect English, she said, "You are small." Ryan's eyes flew open. "What?" he croaked. She leaned down closer. "You are small and funny." He blinked. This had to be a dream, or he was dead, or both. She reached out with one massive hand. Her fingers were long and clawed but gentle. She pinched the back of his shirt and lifted him off the ground like a kitten. "Don't eat me," he shouted, kicking. She raised one eyebrow. "Eat you?" She looked puzzled, then smiled. "No," she said slowly, her voice soft. "Not like that." And with that, she turned and walked into the trees, carrying him dangling in the air like a toy. Ryan dangled helplessly in the air. The giantess held him between 2 fingers like he was nothing more than a bug. Her grip wasn't painful, but it was firm. Her long green fingers had strange glowing lines running along the skin, like veins made of light. With every step she took, the ground below trembled slightly. She walked as if she didn't care about the world, only him. He kicked and shouted, but his voice was too small. "Let me go," he yelled. She looked at him, amused. "You're loud for something so small." Ryan felt like a captured animal. She didn't seem angry, but that scared him even more. Why wasn't she furious? Why wasn't she eating him? Instead, she seemed playful. The forest opened into a wide clearing. There stood a massive cave, glowing faintly with green light. Strange vines covered the entrance, pulsing slowly like they were alive. The air smelled of heat and sweet herbs. A large pool of water bubbled near the edge of the cave. The giantess entered and dropped Ryan gently onto a soft bed of moss. He crawled backward in panic, but her shadow blocked his path. She knelt beside him, folding her legs like a curious child studying a bug. Her eyes sparkled. "You are from the sky," she said. He nodded, shaking. "Yes, my ship crashed." She tilted her head. "You are alone." Yes, she didn't reply for a while. Her glowing eyes looked sad, almost thoughtful. Then she whispered, "I was alone too." Ryan blinked. That wasn't what he expected. Before he could speak, she stood and walked to the pool. She dipped a wooden bowl into the water and brought it to him. The water shimmered strangely, but he was too thirsty to care. He drank, and the cool liquid soothed his throat. "Why did you take me?" he asked. She sat down beside him. Her armor made soft clicking sounds against the rock. "I thought you were a creature, a snack," she said casually. "But then? You looked at me. You were scared. You spoke." Ryan's heart pounded. "And?" She smiled faintly. "I changed my mind." That made no sense. "So, you're not going to eat me?" She leaned in, and her massive face was only inches away. "Now?" Her breath was warm and smelled of sweet fruits. Her voice dropped low. "I'm still deciding." Ryan froze. Was she joking? She giggled. "Your fear smells strange, not like prey." He wanted to move, to run, but his legs still hurt. All he could do was sit there, staring up at her. Every instinct screamed to escape, but another part of him, deep inside, was curious. She could have crushed him. She did single quotes, she could have eaten him. She did single quotes. TID instead. She just watched him. A loud howl echoed from deep in the jungle. The giantess stood up instantly, alert. Her eyes narrowed as she sniffed the air. Then she glanced down at him. "You stay," she ordered. Without waiting for a reply, she grabbed her giant spear and vanished into the trees, fast and silent. Ryan was alone now. He sat still, confused and shaking. That last thing she whispered before leaving echoed in his mind. "I'm still deciding." Was she serious, or was this just her alien sense of humor? Either way, he had to find a way to survive. The cave felt too quiet without her. Ryan sat on the soft moss floor, listening to the distant sounds of the alien jungle. Strange roars echoed now and then, followed by the shaking of trees. His heart beat faster every time the silence returned. Alone in the giantess's lair, surrounded by things far too large for him, he felt like a toy forgotten in a giant's bedroom. He looked around. There were strange carvings on the cave, all symbols glowing faint green. Giant bowls made from carved stone. A wooden comb the size of his arm. And near the corner, something like a nest made of vines, cloth, and fur. That's where she had placed him. It was soft, almost too perfect, like she had made it for someone small. Like me, he thought uneasily. He limped toward the entrance, but stopped. She was standing there. The giantess returned, her giant spear still dripping with fresh, purple alien blood. She had hunted something big. Her long hair was wild, her chest rising and falling like she'd just finished a sprint. She stared at him. He froze. Slowly, she stepped forward and crouched beside him. "Did you try to run?" she asked softly. He shook his head. "No." She studied his eyes for a moment, then smiled. "Good." She turned and tossed the alien creature she'd caught onto the ground. It looked like a four-legged beast with fangs longer than Ryan's arms. She cut it open with a flick of her knife and began cleaning it with ease. Ryan turned away, his stomach twisting, she noticed. "You don't like hunting?" she asked without looking up. "Not like that." She wiped her hands and stood. Her size was always a shock even after everything. She was graceful, powerful, and too big for this world to feel real. "You don't need to hunt," she said. "I'll protect you." "Why?" he asked. She looked confused. "Because you are mine." He blinked. "Yours. Like a pet," she nodded calmly. "A rare pet, one who talks, one who feels fear and thinks." Ryan stepped back. "I'm not your pet. I'm a person." She crouched again, bringing her face close. "But you are small, alone, weak. If I don't keep you, others will eat you." Her words stung, but they were true. He was powerless here, still. Something about the way she said it felt more than protection, more than curiosity, almost like affection. "I don't want to be kept in a nest," he muttered. She tilted her head. "It is not a cage." "Then what is it?" She paused. "A safe place. For someone I don't want to lose." That silence between them was heavy. Not with danger, but with something else. Something confusing. Then she reached into a pouch and pulled out a fruit. It glowed faintly, shaped like a heart. She broke it in half and handed one side to him. He stared at it. "I saw your pain," she said gently. "You lost your sky home. I know that feeling." "You do?" he asked, surprised. She looked away, distant. "Yes. I crashed here once too, long ago, and no one came for me." Ryan's grip on the fruit tightened. This giantess wasn't just some monster. She was someone broken. Someone who had also been left behind. He took a bite. It was sweet. And, in that moment, the fear between them slowly began to melt. Ryan woke to the sound of soft humming. The cave was glowing with pale green light, and a strange warmth surrounded him. He blinked and sat up, realizing he was no longer lying on moss. Instead, he was inside something soft-woven vines, feathers, smooth alien cloth. A nest, not rough or wild, but carefully made. Too carefully, he looked around. The walls had changed. New glowing stones had been placed. A curtain of thick leaves now covered the entrance. He was no longer just lying in a cave. He was inside a home, and it wasn't his. The giantess entered a moment later, her arms full of strange fruits and animal skins. She smiled when she saw him awake. Her giant eyes were soft, almost too kind. "You are better," she said. Ryan rubbed his eyes. "Why? Why are you doing this?" She tilted her head. "You need care." He stood, wobbling slightly on his healing leg. "This looks like a nest. You built this for me?" She nodded proudly. "Yes, a warm place, a quiet place, for my little one." He stiffened. "I'm not a child." Her smile faded slightly. "You are not my child, but you are mine." Ryan backed away. "I'm not an object. You can't keep me like this." The giantess sat beside the nest, her weight shaking the ground. She looked hurt, but calm. "I know your kind. Always fighting. Always running. Never resting. But here, you rest." Here, no one eats you. I'm not your pet, he snapped. No, she whispered, you are more than that. She handed him a carved wooden token with strange alien symbols etched into it. This means safe. I give it to you. He held it, unsure what to say. Then her fingers gently brushed his arm. Her touch was warm, her claws careful. You shake when I touch you. Are you afraid? Yes, he admitted. You're huge. You could crush me any second. But I don't, she replied, because I don't want to. She stood and walked to the far end of the cave, where a wall of symbols lit up. Ryan watched as she touched one, and a small fire sparked to life in a pit. The flames danced in silence. I once lived in a city, she said. With people? With family? Then the crash. Then the silence. You were stranded, he asked. She nodded, and hunted. Every day, until I became the hunter. Her voice changed, darker, sadder. Now, I find you alone, small like I once was. I don't want you to become like me. Ryan sat slowly. The nest didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt strange, soft, comforting. Too perfect to trust, but too kind to fear fully. He whispered, What do you want from me? The giantess looked at him from across the cave. Her golden eyes glowed softly. Not your fear, not your flesh. She stepped closer, her voice low. I want your story. The fire crackled quietly in the center of the cave. Ryan sat near it, still holding the carved token she had given him. He turned it over in his hands again and again. It felt heavy not in weight, but in meaning. The alien symbols shimmered faintly, and though he couldn't read them, he remembered what she said. This means safe. He looked up. She was sitting across from him. Legs folded, her back straight like a statue, but her golden eyes were watching him, always watching. Not like a guard, more like someone waiting for something she couldn't name. Why do you want my story? Ryan asked the giantess, blinked slowly. Because stories do not die. People do. But stories stay. He hesitated. And what do you plan to do with mine? She shrugged lightly. Remember it? Keep it. Share it when I'm alone again. Her answer surprised him. It wasn't about control. It wasn't about power. It was about loneliness. Ryan took a breath and began to speak. He told her about his ship, his people, the missions he had flown, the stars he'd seen. He spoke in simple words, unsure if she would understand, but she listened like every word was a treasure. At one point, she leaned closer, resting her chin on her hand. So, your people float above the skies. In steel birds. Ships, he corrected, with a small smile. But yes, she grinned. I want to see that. You can't, he said gently. Your world is unmarked. Dangerous. No one will. Come. Her smile faded. I know, she whispered. Silence returned. Then, softly, she began to speak. Her voice was slow, her words broken, but clear. She told him about her world before the crash. A city of giant towers, songs sung under moonlight. Her sister, who danced. Her mother, who painted stars onto the ceilings of their home. And then the ship that fell from the sky and ended everything. Ryan sat in stillness. This giantess wasn't a monster. She was a memory of something lost. He looked into her eyes. You're not what I expected. And you, she replied, are softer than I thought. She reached out and touched his face gently. Her finger was bigger than his whole head, yet she moved with careful grace, as if he might break. Do you still fear me? She asked. Yes, he admitted, but less than before. Her lips curved into a small smile. Good. Ryan stood, wobbling slightly. His leg had healed more, thanks to her strange medicines. He took a few slow steps toward her. You don't need to keep me in a nest anymore, he said. I know, she replied. You can walk beside me now. He nodded and talk. Yes, she said, and then paused. But not just talk. He raised an eyebrow. What else? She leaned close again, her voice lower, no, almost teasing. You tell stories. I feel them. You breathe near me. I feel warm. He didn't know what to say. Then she whispered, You are not food. You are something I missed. Ryan's heart beat fast. Not from fear, from something else. Ryan stood under the glowing cave ceiling, staring up at the swaying lights above. They pulsed gently, like stars trapped inside stone. The air was quiet, warm and thick, with something strange, a danger but emotion. He could feel her behind him. The giantess had been silent all day. She watched him as always, but her smile didn't return. Not even when he told a joke about Earth. Not even when he shared the story about the dog who stole a spaceship door. It was like something had shifted. She sat at the far edge of the cave, sharpening her giant spear slowly. Her glowing eyes reflected the firelight. Ryan walked over carefully. You're quiet today, he said. She didn't look up. I'm thinking about what? You? That word hit him harder than expected. What about me? He asked. Softly she placed the spear down and finally met his gaze. You ask questions, you make me laugh. You remind me of the world before I lost it. Ryan stepped closer. Is that a good thing? It's dangerous, she said. Why? She didn't answer right away. Then, standing to her full, towering height, she walked over to him. Her shadow wrapped around him like a warm cloak. He looked up. I told you I don't eat humans, she said gently. He nodded. You did, but I also told you. Not like that. Ryan's throat tightened. What did you mean? Aha. He asked. Her expression was serious now, calm yet intense. In my culture, she began, to devour is not always about flesh. Sometimes it is about closeness, about sharing breath, sharing thoughts, sharing warmth. Ryan blinked, like a bond. She nodded. Like a bond, a deep one, a full one, something sacred. He felt the cave shift around him, or maybe it was just the weight of her words. Everything he thought he knew about her was cracking and changing. She wasn't a hunter, not anymore. She was lonely, and now she had found something that reminded her she could feel again. Why me? He whispered. She knelt beside him. Because you are brave. Because you are soft, but still strong. Because when I first looked at you, I saw prey. But when you looked at me, I saw something else. She raised one clawed finger and gently touched his chest. You saw a person? Ryan didn't speak. He couldn't, because in that moment, everything felt too real. Too big. Then she leaned closer than ever before. Her voice dropped to a whisper only he could hear. I hunger, Ryan, not for food, but for something I thought I lost forever. He swallowed hard. What is it you want? She smiled soft, but full of meaning. I want you to choose. Ryan didn't sleep that night. He sat near the fire, watching its light dance on the stone walls. The giantess had left him alone for a while, giving him space. Like she knew the weight of her words was heavy. I hunger, not for food, but for something I thought I lost forever. Those words echoed in his mind again and again. She hadn't tried to take him. She had asked him to choose, and that made all the difference. When the first light of morning filtered through the cave curtain, he stood and walked outside. The jungle was quiet. Mist covered the trees, and alien birds sang songs he didn't understand. She stood near the cliff's edge, overlooking the valley below. Wind pulled through her long hair. Her back was strong, tall, unmoving, like a mountain. Ryan approached slowly. She didn't turn. "Have you decided?" she asked. He paused behind her. "I have." She turned now, slowly, her eyes searching his face. "I came here as a soldier," Ryan said. "I thought this world was just danger and death. I thought you were going to kill me. And honestly, you could have." She said nothing, only listened, but instead, you healed me. You cared. You didn't ask me to serve. You asked me to stay, not as prey, not as a prisoner, but something else. He stepped closer. "I don't know what I am to you. Not yet, but I know what you are to me." Her eyes glowed brighter. "You're not a monster," he said. "You're the reason I'm still alive." The giantess knelt slowly. Her face lowered to his level and her voice was quiet. "You are not afraid anymore." "No," Ryan replied, "because I choose this." Her breath caught, and then she reached out, not to grab, not to cage, but to hold. One hand open beside him, palm facing up. Ryan stepped into it. She lifted him gently, placing him on her shoulder. From up there, he could see everything. The trees, the cliffs, the sky. He felt the wind, wild and free. She smiled. "Now, you walk beside me." He looked down at her. "And you don't walk alone anymore," he said. The giantess let out a soft hum, almost like a purr. Then she turned, her footsteps powerful but steady, and together they moved into the wild unknown from above. It may have looked strange, a massive alien warrior walking with a tiny human by her side, but to them, it wasn't strange at all. It was home.